It's time for
DodgerHeads.
high fly ball into right field. Dodgers have won it all in 2020. Shohei Ohtani, 50-50 club. Strikes him out. There's a drive. Shohei Ohtani. Freeman hits the ball. She is gone. Birthday party, Los Angeles. Your Dodgers have won the World Series.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into DodgerHeads Live, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Medium Large Sports Network. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined tonight by Daniel Starkand and Anthony Witrado on a special Monday night edition of DodgerHeads because Shohei Ohtani made his pitching debut for the Dodgers. Wasn't perfect, but offensively contributed more runs than he gave up on the pitching side of things. And the most important piece here, the Dodgers beat the Padres again, 6-3, the final score on this one. Daniel, good to have you back. I joke you only roll out of bed for Hall of Famers returning to the mound, so it's good to have you with us tonight.
Yeah, not just Hall of Famers, two-way Hall of Famers. So, yeah, the bar is definitely high, but hey, he lived up to it tonight. So happy to be with you guys.
And Anthony, you haven't seen me on this format for 24 whole hours. Are you doing okay over there?
Yeah, I was having some withdrawals, so I decided to hop on with you tonight.
I love it.
No other reason for it. No other reason.
None whatsoever. We were, of course, doing the live postgame show last night when news broke that Ohtani was going to be pitching at some point this week. And then 20 minutes later in the show, it broke that he was actually going to be starting today. We could get to the game, but we all know that that's not the storyline that anybody is here to talk about. It's Shohei Ohtani, the pitcher. 1 inning, 2 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, no strikeouts. He also went 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs for those keeping track at home. But Daniel, give me your initial reaction to the spectacle of Ohtani, the pitcher, as well as the stuff itself.
Yeah, I mean, the dude is just an alien. Like, for him to not pitch in a major league game in almost 2 years, to come back quicker than any of us would have expected, and to be throwing 100 miles an hour in your first outing is incredible. And like you said, like, it wasn't a perfect outing by any means, but I wasn't expecting it to be perfect. Like, this is pretty much his first spring training outing here. And he definitely looked like, a little rusty. He definitely was a little amped up, tried to overthrow some, but, didn't really give up any hard contact and allowed just the 1 run. So I think overall, really positive night. And obviously the first step of what's going to be a process of building up here. But, obviously we would have loved if there was a 0 on the scoreboard, but other than that, I would say it was a really solid, first outing for Shohei.
Yeah, Anthony, we have a number of super chats here. Aaron says Ohtani stuff was phenomenal. Command will come. And then Bacon Tree with the $10 super chat. We appreciate that. Same thing. Command will come later, but 100 from Shohei and all his stuff working is fantastic. Lineup credit for fixing their approach to win the game by paper cuts. Key to see Shohei feels good tomorrow. Do you agree with that assessment from the first 2 super chats here, Anthony, that the stuff was impressive, even if the command wasn't necessarily perfect?
Yeah, I think that was one of the things we sort of hinted at yesterday, is that the stuff might be there. He felt like it was there, and that was good enough for us. Clearly good enough for the Dodgers to say, okay, we're going to put you out there. But you kind of figured that the command might be an issue, if for nothing else, just the fact that the adrenaline must have been through the roof for him. I think you could see it too, like the sweat coming down his face. And, he looked like he was a little gassed, and he threw a lot of pitches, obviously. But I think the sort of the excitement and the pomp and circumstance and all that played a little bit of a factor. I would have liked him to see, I would have liked to see him get through that first inning a little quicker, and then see if they would have brought him back out and what that would have looked like as after he was a little calmed down and was able to sort of settle in. But I thought for what is essentially his spring training debut, the stuff looked great. It graded out fantastic. Even, the command wasn't there, but just in terms of what the stuff actually was, I saw 2 or 3 grading metrics that all graded him out as plus kind of stuff.
Totally.
And obviously the velocity played. He was overthrowing. Obviously, I think that's why you saw a lot of glove side miss. He was trying to yank that thing a little bit, so he was amped up just like the rest of us were. But I will say this: for what this was, I think it's an A.
Yeah. It's interesting. You go back and look at kind of the average fastball velocity that he's had throughout his career. And obviously we know it's upper 90s. And to compare a 1-inning start to his performance as a starter is not totally fair, but I think it gives you a tiny bit of context. When we last saw him in 2023, the average fastball velocity was 96.7. The highest mark was 2022, 97.4. Tonight, the slowest fastball he threw was 98.3 miles an hour, and he got one up over 100, Daniel. 100.2 was one fastball. So even the first at bat, he threw a 98-mile-an-hour fastball right down the middle to Fernando Tatis, and Tatis swung right through it. So to Anthony's point, you've said it. The Super Chats have said it. I think we all saw the stuff is electric. It's just going to be a matter of sustaining it deeper into games and being able to maybe harness this a little bit more.
Yeah, and then that's why I say that this guy's an alien. Like, we've seen just in recent years, like so many guys come back from Tommy John or serious arm injuries and their velo's down a couple ticks. Like we saw it with Walker Buehler. We're seeing it with, Dustin May. Jacob deGrom isn't throwing as hard as he used to. Like, the fact of the matter is when you have these serious surgeries, like, it's not easy to get back to where you were, or even in Shohei's case, maybe even a tick up like we saw tonight. Like you said, it was only 1 inning and the adrenaline was pumping. So he definitely was able to air it out. But just the fact that he's able, to get the velo up there and like everyone's been saying, like the command will follow as he gets more outings and gets more comfortable and whatnot. But for him to not pitch for 2 years, have a serious surgery, work his way back, and to just come out throwing BBs the way he was, that's just incredible. And I agree with Anthony. Like, even though he gave up the run, I'll give him an A for the night. And I definitely think it's something that he'll build on. And, hopefully next time out, we see him 2 or 3 innings and just move on from there.
Yeah, Hawaiian Kira with the super chat asking for grades. He gets an A from Daniel, an A from Anthony. I'm going to give it an A as well. Yes, it's the 1 earned run. We were all hoping to see a 0 up there. To Anthony's point, I would have loved to see him go deeper. But you look at what he gave up, 74.6 mile an hour exit velocity single, 95 mile an hour single from Arias, then the 85 mile an hour sac fly, 77 mile an hour ground out, 89 mile an hour ground out. So he limited the soft contact, as many people have pointed out. Jedi Engineer here. Ohtani should have had a strikeout on Machado. Love an show run against us. Machado, look, nobody knows what the hell a check swing is and is not, and when it is a strike. That was definitely a strike, though. I'll tell you, I don't know what the rule is. What Machado did should have been a strike. It ends up being a sacrifice fly. So it doesn't kill you, but that's the reason for me that I'm going A, is because he limits the hard contact. The stuff was electric. The velocity was there. And there's a world, Daniel, where he gets out of this inning with no runs allowed if he gets that strikeout from Machado and then is able to keep the next 2 guys on the ground as he ended up doing. So I would have loved to see a strikeout at some point, but all in all, realistic expectations, I think you were the one who said it. I mean, this is not even his rehab appearance. This is spring training for Shohei Ohtani. And so for him to do this against a really good lineup, the top of a really good lineup, and to come out of it the way he did, I'm speechless on just how good this guy ultimately can be.
Yeah, and like you pointed out with the exit velocities, it wasn't like he was getting hit around. Like, and I definitely think more swing and miss will come as he gets more comfortable, as he improves that command. He threw 28 pitches tonight, but he only threw 1 splitter, which is arguably his best pitch, like his put away pitch. So I definitely think as he gets built up more and he's throwing 3, 4, 5 innings, we'll see him mix in the splitter more, and we'll see some more swing and miss there. So yeah, that was the only thing that I guess you could say was lacking from this. But like that last commenter pointed out, like he should have had the strikeout on Machado, and who knows if he gets that, maybe he finishes up a little differently. But all in all, we'll take it, and obviously the win is the most important thing.
Yeah. Shout out to the 1,600 plus people in here live with us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter. As always, we appreciate you here breaking down Shohei Ohtani's first start ever as a Dodger. Anthony, I'm curious. The follow-up question is, what is next for Shohei Ohtani? Obviously, I imagine he's going to be on some sort of a starter's routine moving forward. He makes this start on Monday. Do you think Sunday is the next time we see him? And then they try and get, I believe it was 28 pitches that he ended up throwing out tonight. So you try and get that number to start to closer to like 40 or something like that on Sunday?
Yeah, I think the progression may be like an inning a start.
Yeah.
So not a hard and fast pitch count, but more like, up and down, I think is what they're looking to see. So I think that's what's being hinted at is sort of, next outing, 2 innings, outing after that, 3 innings.
Yeah.
And it may build quicker than that if he's efficient. But yeah, I think that the way that they are treating this, you're just going to see him essentially make that progression in real time, in real games, where this in spring training would be done on the backfields, or even in a rehab assignment, it would be done little by little there. And so we're going to be able to see it. And that's going to be an exciting part of it too. Like, sounded like from all the reports that he was just antsy and ready to be like, you know what, give me the ball. The stuff is there. I know I can only go 1 or 2 innings, but let's do this here. I'm needed. You guys need innings. I don't count as an extra pitcher. This makes sense. And so, the fact that he was, I think, so adamant about it from what it sounds like I think it should show all of us that he feels like he's ready. And the stuff tonight looked like he was ready. It's just now a matter of getting him to be able to get deeper into games.
Yeah, and that was one of the quotes we got from Brandon Gomes pregame. Obviously, we had a reporter at the stadium. When Brandon Gomes, general manager, was asked what gave them confidence that he's ready to pitch, he said the stuff was really impressive. The movement and command combination, the interplay of his pitches, what he was doing in the bullpens early on, you could put that into the game and you would feel good about it. So you play that out. That's exactly what we saw right in front of us, is that the stuff was electric. The velocity, 98 touching. I mean, literally, it wasn't even a 100-mile-an-hour fastball rounding up, 100.2-mile-an-hour fastball from Shohei Ohtani. I mean, I have no idea if he's thrown a pitch harder than that, but I imagine it's near the top of where this guy has ever thrown fastballs before. And so I guess, Daniel, I want to step back from the actual performance and just talk about the moment. Like, as Dodgers fans, this is the first time we've seen this guy do that, go out onto a mound and pitch and then hit. And I joked about it. He gives up 1 run in the first, and then he goes 2 for 4 with a walk and 2 RBIs at the dish as well. What was it like for you, just almost as a fan, to be able to watch something that, for many of us that haven't been following the Angels day to day back in 2023, we've literally never seen before?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy just because, like, once he gets out of that inning, obviously he's leading off the bottom of the first. So I'm pretty sure he didn't even go in the dugout. Like, he put his helmet and batting gloves, on right outside the dugout and then was ready to go hit. So, yeah, obviously, like, we're used to National League Baseball back in the day when pitchers hit, but none of them were on the level of Shohei, of course. So, this is, like, we fell in love with Shohei last year for what he did with the bat and what he did on the base pass. But now we're starting to see, what the full package is. And obviously this was only 1 inning, but as he gets built up, and I was just checking Twitter when you guys were talking, and this is from Bill Plunkett. Shohei said he anticipates pitching once a week now, adding innings so he doesn't tax the bullpen as much. So pretty much the plan that we laid out. And I'm just, at this point, I'm excited to see once he gets fully built up when he could go 5, 6 innings, whatever the case may be, and have one of those games where he throws like 6 shutout innings and hits a home run and the Dodgers win 3-1 or something. Like, that's the full, Shohei Ohtani experience that now, we're finally getting. And, hopefully he could stay healthy. And if he does, the MVP is pretty much locked up at that point, just because, what he's contributing with the bat alone is already MVP worthy. And now you add in the pitching, it's pretty much a done deal.
Yeah. Anthony, what was it like for you to watch the pitcher? To Daniel's point, we've seen it because pitchers used to hit in our lifetime, not all that long ago. But in today's game, to see a guy hit at the level he's hitting and then pitch at the level that he is capable of pitching at, what was that like for you?
Yeah, look, I was still on the beat and still going to games, 3 or 4 times a week when he was with the Angels. And so I got to see some of this. And I think then it was obviously a different feeling. Like I'm doing a different kind of analysis and job here than I was there. And so I think there it was more for me, like just sort of the anomaly of it. And at that time, still figuring out if this was sustainable for him and how good he could be at both things. He's proven over time that he can be one of the best in the league at both things when they're both happening at the same time. Yeah. So for us to see it now here with the full understanding of what he is offensively with the 50-50 season in the books, for me, this was right up there with the afternoon that they signed him, or that he announced that he was signing with the Dodgers, and right up there with his first game in a Dodger uniform. For me, I think it was like reliving all of that again. Like my adrenaline was going. I was, they would put the close up on his face, and you could tell he was getting after it. Right. I was like trying to take deep breaths for him. Like it was that kind of atmosphere. And I think the broadcast, if you were watching Sportsnet, I think they said something like the stadium had basically been foolish for like 45 minutes before the first pitch. That's unheard of at Dodger Stadium.
Literally unheard of
on a Monday, especially on a Monday. So I mean, this was an electric kind of atmosphere, for a game on June 16th on a Monday. Sure, it was against the Padres, and a lot of fans don't like them, and so people were going to come to this game anyway. But I mean, you were getting secondary market tickets at like $900 that they were listed at. Like this was a real event in Los Angeles tonight. And even though he gave up the run, I think he lived up to what people were hoping for. And he provided that sort of show.
And I'm having the same experience I got when I watched him last year for the first time, which is, holy crap, I think this guy's actually way better at this thing than I even imagined. Like you hear, oh, he's one of the best, that kind of thing. And you watch him pitch and you're like, if he figures this out, like if the command comes, which we're all expecting it to come, it's going to be watching one of the best pitchers in baseball. And then he's going to turn around and be one of the best hitters in baseball. And it's a crazy thing to imagine. And so, again, the story of today is that Shohei Ohtani pitches for the Dodgers for the very first time. It was not perfect, but soft contact, a couple wild pitches, one of which cost him a little bit, a check swing strike 3 that he doesn't get that leads to a sacrifice fly, and a tag that's a quarter of a second late on Tatis trying to tag on Andy Pages. So a lot of things go slightly differently. This is a scoreless inning for Shohei Ohtani, but all in all, 1 inning, 1 run for Shohei Ohtani. Nothing to complain about. A's all around from the panel here on Shohei Ohtani's performance. Let's get to some more of these super chats. Kevin says Daniel is back. Missed the OG, of course, back in the 2020 days. Our friend David Sabatini, Aaron Judge is the best hitter in baseball, but is he throwing 99-mile-an-hour fastball for strikes? No. Ohtani is the best in baseball. Come on, David, 100.2 mile-an-hour fastball. Don't cheat the man the extra 1.2. It's like calling a 6-foot guy at 5'11". You got to give him credit. If he gets to 6 feet, you got to round up a little bit.
That's right.
Jay Teaser, Kershaw can still say he's the last Dodgers pitcher to hit a home run. LOL. That will not last more than a couple of weeks.
Is it Ryu hit one after Kershaw? I'm pretty sure. Okay. I don't know who was the last one technically, but it might be Ryu.
There you go. Look at Daniel, just with some Hyunjin Ryu stats for us here. I appreciate that. I'm not going to question you, my friend. Let's get to the rest of this game. Of course, Ohtani is the big story. Noah says, Tanner Scott, I forgive you. I think we're all, and anybody who said anything mean about Andy Pages, Max Muncy, or Tanner Scott, delete the tweets and craft some apologies, please. And just save some room for the Michael Conforto apology that's coming in 9 or 10 weeks. Okay, it's coming.
No rush on that one.
yeah, might be in Oklahoma City. We're not entirely sure where that apology is going to be sent to, but stay tuned. And then Zenji says, everyone, did you vote for Pages today? Don't forget. I do want to talk. Pages was at the middle of, short of Ohtani, the most interesting moment of this game. He gets plunked by Dylan Cease. Fabian Ardaya just tweeted this a couple minutes ago. He had some words for Dylan Cease. The Padres manager basically screamed, "Who the bleep do you think you are?" Some version of that at Andy Pages. This is what Fabian Ardaya tweeted. Andy Pages said afterwards he thought this was on purpose, said that Cease had been hitting his spots all game too well to miss that badly with the fastball, and said the Padres thought he was relaying signs from second base his first at bat. So Pages basically saying he was being accused of relaying signs from second in his first at bat, and as a result, Dylan Cease, who had been pretty dialed in the entirety of the game, intentionally hit him. I like Andy Pages. He's been a great hitter for the Dodgers. Anthony, in a 3-2 game with the runner on first, I find it hard to believe they intentionally hit Andy Pages. What do you think about how this all played out?
Yeah, I don't think there was any chance that he hit him on purpose. I will say, though, if you don't know the score or context, that is the kind of pitch that you would hit a guy with.
Yeah, right.
If you were trying to throw at somebody, it was in the right spot. It was a fastball that rode in. So sure. But no, I don't think, and I think Cease's reaction sort of gave that away too. That like, look, man, I'm not doing that. Like I'm here trying to get through these innings now. Like you guys are starting to tax me.
Yeah.
If a guy's throwing at a guy on purpose, like he may not say it while he's on the mound, but that's not the reaction he's going to give because it's supposed to be a message. We should also note that Alden Gonzalez from ESPN also tweeted that Pages said that he should not have reacted the way he did, that he was, the adrenaline was there and sort of got the best of him a little bit. So he did think that they threw at him on purpose, but he said that he should not have reacted the way he did. So there is that.
Yeah. Daniel, do you agree with that assessment?
Yeah. I mean, like I see where Pages is coming from because like that was one of those pitches where it's like right out of his hand, like you could tell that's going straight at Pages, and up until that point, like Cease hadn't really unrattled yet. So like Pages was saying, his command was pretty pinpoint the first couple innings. So I get it from that sense, but like you guys were saying, in that situation, a close game, like you don't want to hit a guy there, and I think kind of what Andy said, like adrenaline, you get caught up in the moment. Obviously, it's a rivalry game. I know that's been a hot topic going back to the last series, but obviously tempers tend to flare when these two teams square off. So I get it. And I think at this point it's water under the bridge. Like, I don't think anything's really going to come of it moving forward.
Yeah. The Dodgers go on in that inning to have 3 straight RBI singles from Edman, Ohtani, and Betts that take a 2-1 deficit. And they end up making it a 6-2 lead in that 4th inning. And that was enough for the Dodgers the rest of this game. And so despite the early hole that they put themselves in with the 1-0 lead that Ohtani gave up, and then they give up another run in the 4th after tying the game to go back down 2-1. The fact that the Dodgers are able to come back in this one, they beat the Padres 6-3 is the final score. Again, looking at the offense, Daniel, I'll come to you first. Ohtani is, 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs at the top of this lineup, but you look up and down it, all 7, the first 7 guys in this lineup all had hits. Everybody except for Conforto had a hit tonight and reached base at least once. That's 10 hits and 2 walks for the Dodgers on the whole. But as somebody pointed out, it was death by paper cuts. This wasn't a team that relied on the home run. They didn't get one, but they ended up scoring 6 runs anyways.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows how relentless this offense is. Like those first 2 innings, like Cease looked like he had no hitter type stuff. It was like, we just saw him, shove against the Dodgers last week, and it was like, all right, like here we go again. Like, we're gonna have to keep them, off the scoreboard so that we can at least keep it close and maybe get to their bullpen later in the game, etc. But then obviously it came apart real quick. Guys put together some really at bats, like you said, death by paper cuts. A lot of hits in a row. Getting the job done with runners in scoring position, and that was enough for tonight with the way the bullpen did. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't like the best start for the Dodgers by any means, and they didn't use the long ball tonight, so it definitely looked different than it has at other times. But obviously, 6 runs got the job done, so that's all that really matters.
Anthony, what did you see? Did you see a different approach from the offense, or was it more just the product of balls landing? To be fair, the level of hard contact that the Dodgers had in that big 4th inning was not exactly jumping off the page either.
Yeah, they sort of, BABIP'd him to death a little bit in that 1 inning. There was 2 balls that were smashed. I think Muncie's ball and I think it was maybe Edman's ball were smoked. So, he did give up some hard contact, but yeah, I thought just in general, aside from that part of it, they sort of just tried to grind a little more and wear him down. There's a lot more, kind of fouling pitches off that they didn't think they could get to, or balls with 2 strikes. And so, I think the approach changed a little bit. But, I just think that they were sort of due for having some of these fall in, and once it got going, it snowballed on Cease. Like, even some of those hard, or I'm sorry, even some of the softer contact, they were placed well. Like, it wasn't like it was a 4-hopper that got through the infield. Like, they were hits. They were legitimate hits. So, I thought it was just a nice overall sort of top to bottom, with the exception of your guy, contributions from the lineup. So,
hey, I mean, can we? To be fair, we had 1 hard hit ball tonight. Okay, can my guy Conforto? Can we catch a break? 570 expected batting average on the line out. He gets nothing.
He's had a lot of those. He's had a lot of those.
He's an expected All-Star if we go by that.
I'm saying, Anthony, thank you. You're finally coming around on this. Exactly. The XAS at Conforto probably leading the league in that category. We got a super chat here from Noah. Says, remember the good old days when the Dodgers took pride in a low chase rate? I wonder where the rate is now. Well, Noah, I have good news for you. The Dodgers, we do have this number. The chase rate is 26.3% and 5th in Major League Baseball. So the 5th best in baseball at chase rate. It's probably, Noah, what you're seeing, just a product of baseball as it is played in 2025. There's just a lot more swing and miss than you're used to. And so the league has all maybe moved towards a more chase heavy situation, and the Dodgers remain, again, one of the best. I'm sure there were lots of years where they were the best, but at this point they are 5th in this category now. So thank you for the super chat. David also with the super chat here. Are we overusing Ben Kasparius? This was going to be one of my next topics that I wanted to ask you guys about. Kasparius being built up to become a starter. So to the question of, are we overusing him? That's why the Dodgers are treating this the way they have. They are trying to build him into being a starter. Daniel, what were your thoughts? 3 2/3, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, just 2 strikeouts, 62 pitches for Kasparius, who I guess as expected has not looked nearly as sharp as he has gotten built up into a starter as he did as kind of a dominant high leverage reliever.
Well, first of all, say what up to our guy Scotty. I see him in the chat. Miss you, brother. Hope you're doing well. But no, yeah, I don't think they're overusing Kasparius. The one thing I will say, like, now that they're building him up as a starter, like, let's just let him go start games. Like, I get it. Like, this time, obviously, Shohei is his own thing, and when he says, hey, let me pitch in the major league game, you're not going to say no. So plans change. But Dave Roberts had said late last week that Kasparius was going to be a traditional starter moving forward. So I would like to see him get to that. And I think now he's building up to the point where by his next start he could be at 4 or 5 innings, and then after that he's pretty much fully built up. So yeah, I like what I saw out of him. Like, I didn't, his command wasn't great tonight either, which could have been, coming in the middle of an inning or whatever the case may be. But I think he's having a great rookie year. Like, I think he's exceeded all expectations, and I'm excited to see what he could do as a member of the rotation, just because we've been so desperate for quality starting pitching. We haven't had that all year. And to his credit, like, he's been willing to do whatever's been asked of him, and he's succeeded in every role. So I am excited for him personally. He's a really good guy. So I'm excited to see him get that, chance in the rotation and see what he does with it.
Anthony, how big of a deal is it for you to have an opener for a guy like Kasparius? Because we just talked about that Ohtani is going to be this once a week getting built up kind of a thing. That means at least somebody is going to have an opener in front of them if they continue to trot out normal starting pitchers most of these days. I'm not saying we're locked into that person being Kasparius, but I could see a world where Kasparius is kind of a bulk guy. He's been used to coming out of the bullpen, even if it's not for 4 or 5 innings, that this kind of becomes normalized. So is that a big deal to you? Is that something the Dodgers need to move away for as they develop him and build him up?
It's not a big deal to me. It might be a big deal to Kasparius, depending on how what his attitude is like here. I think today, they probably go to him last night and say, hey, we know that we told you your next appearance is going to be a traditional start, but Shohei just told us he's taking the ball. And so that changes things a little bit. So he was probably cool with this one, right? And maybe for the next couple of times that Shohei pitches, he is the bulk guy behind him. But I think at some point, though, in the near future, like before the All-Star break, so within the next month, I do think he starts taking traditional starts. And then they'll figure out the rest with Shohei probably. Once he can build up to like 3, maybe 4 innings, then obviously I think Kasparius kind of peels off of that plan and does something else, and they use other guys in the pen when Shohei starts. So I think he's earned that opportunity. And aside from that, there's a need. They have a need for him to be able to fill that role if he can. So I'm excited to see what he can do in it, because he's shown enough to this point where he could put himself in a situation where he's in the rotation for the rest of the season.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, obviously pending health, but you look at the way that the rotation is currently set up. Yamamoto, May, Kershaw are kind of the 3 guys who have been there for the last few weeks. Ohtani building up, Kasparius building up, Emmet Sheehan building up. So you can see the makings, Daniel, of a 6-man rotation, but we're probably at least, in Kasparius's case and in Sheehan's case, we're probably a week or 2 away from those guys being fully built up. Excuse me. I had Alex Friedman, the broadcaster for OKC, the AAA team on. That interview is going to post tomorrow. And he said, look, if this were an ideal world, Emmet Sheehan would probably make 1 or 2 more starts at AAA, but it's not an ideal world. The Dodgers need innings, and Emmet Sheehan's probably good enough to go to give them 4-ish starting tomorrow. But the good news for me, Daniel, again, is you zoom out a little bit and you fast forward 2 or 3 weeks and you say, the Dodgers might finally have themselves a 6-man rotation here.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And we're obviously not seeing a conventional pitching, strategy from the Dodgers right now. But hey, if you got a few bulk guys who could give you 3 innings, you could you could start Ohtani and piggyback Kasparius like we saw tonight. You could do the same thing with Emmet Sheehan. If you're calling up Landon Knack, you could do the same thing with him. So, you definitely have options. And then, a few weeks down the line, you hope that all these guys are built up so that they could each have their own individual start day. And like you said, go to a 6-man rotation. And then, who knows, by the time you get to the All-Star break, you might see some of these other guys, Blake Snell, Tyler Glasnow, Roki. We'll see, what's going on with him if they come back. So hopefully, there's some good problems to have down the road, which hasn't been the case in the first 3 months or whatever's happened so far. But it's definitely, starting pitching is trending up. It's just got to be patient to let these guys get built up.
And for what it's worth, right now, they say Shohei is going to be on a once-a-week plan.
Okay. Well, and that, does that mean that could mean 6 days, right? I 7 is probably the default. But I'm curious what that exactly looks like. Obviously, they have a day off, so if they go 6-man rotation, then it could be 7 days. But that's a good nugget there. I'm curious to see what once a week means. I understand what you're saying. Every 7 days probably is the default understanding of that. But I'm curious to see if that's actually how this plays out.
Well, they did it with Yamamoto early until all the injuries happened, but it was a little easier then because I think they had 5 Thursdays off in a row.
Yeah. They had never had 7 games in 7 days during that stretch. Yeah. So Noah with the super chat. Noah, thanks for all the super chats. He says, with Roki likely out and with Kersh starting to heat up, is Kershaw in your regular starting rotation into the postseason? Daniel, I'll come to you. Is Kershaw playing his way into a postseason rotation spot?
I mean, well, first of all, I think it's way too early to be talking about that. October's another lifetime away. Who knows, where things will be at. But I'd say the way he's pitching right now, of course, he's in the mix. Right now, you could probably say he's their number 2 starter behind Yamamoto. I mean, maybe, the way Kasparius has been throwing once he gets built up, maybe he's in that mix as well. But right now, he's definitely if the playoffs started today, he's definitely taking the ball, and he's been great since that first start. He's even starting getting a little more swing and miss. Obviously, 7 shutout innings against the Giants. That was incredible. So yeah, I mean, we'll see where things are at in October, but things are looking good right now.
Anthony, Hawaiian Kira's got a question. How do you see the rotation post All-Star game without Snell and Glasnow ? So I think she's asking, do you think Snell and Glasnow make it back around the All-Star break, or do you think we've got a longer wait for those two?
I think we have a longer wait. I think Snell hasn't faced hitters yet. And so I think until that happens, it's harder to gauge the timeline. Once he does start to face hitters, I would say he's then a few weeks away. And so I think considering where we're at in the calendar right now, that puts us post All-Star break for Snell. Glasnow, I'm not even counting on for the moment. Like, I'm kind of like Dave Roberts, like, let me know when he starts throwing again or something like that, because it feels like he's way off. But yeah, I think we sort of talked it out a couple minutes ago, where you're looking at Yamamoto, you're looking at
Kershaw,
Yamamoto, Kershaw, May. Why am I blanking here? Who else do we got?
Kasparius.
Sheehan, Kasparius.
Sheehan starting Wednesday now. So probably Sheehan, and then Ohtani, obviously. And then by the time we get to the break, Ohtani should be built up enough where he's getting pretty much regular starts, at 5 innings or something like that. So yeah, I mean, those are probably the main guys, and then you figure out what to do with Kasparius if you go with the 6-man or somebody else who may be sliding in there. So they're starting to feel that cushion of starting pitching come back for them now, which it feels like it hasn't really been there all season. So knock on wood with these guys, keep everybody in plastic wrap, but it sounds like they're on their way to a good spot in terms of options.
Yeah, and you guys mentioned Dave's announced that it'll be a bullpen game tomorrow, as sort of expected. TBD on who the bulk guy will be. Emmet Sheehan will be the starter/bulk guy, I suppose, on Wednesday. Daniel, I mentioned the interview with Alex Friedman, the Oklahoma City Comets play-by-play guy. That's going to post tomorrow. I tweeted out the most interesting nugget, which was Bobby Miller was scheduled to pitch for the Dodgers on Sunday and was scratched from that start, not for health-related reasons. And he basically said, I'm not telling you I have any inside information on what they're doing, but you can connect the dots on this one, was the way he put it. Matt Sauer is still on the roster, the active roster, and hasn't pitched in 5 or 6 days. So do you think it's Matt Sauer who kind of is the de facto bulk guy, or do you think they don't give the Padres another look at Sauer and maybe go with Bobby Miller? How do you think they handle this?
I would guess Sauer. They were probably just being cautious and keeping Miller back, like in case, let's say, things didn't go well with Shohei tonight and Kasparius didn't give you the length you want, and maybe it turns into a blowout, and then maybe you would have pitched Sauer for the last 3 or 4 innings tonight or something. Then in that case, you could, call up a Bobby Miller for tomorrow. But I would expect them to give, Sauer another look. I know it obviously wasn't great against the Padres last week, but other than that, he's been solid enough. He could obviously give you length, regardless of how well he's pitching. So that's important when you're in this stretch where you don't really have off days. So I would expect, Sauer probably go with an opener. Like I think it was Lou Trevino the last time. So yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets the start again, and then you go to Sauer after you get past the top of the Padres order, which it kind of falls off a cliff after the 4th or 5th guys. So yeah, that's kind of a nice landing spot for a guy Sauer.
Anthony, any issues with Matt Sauer being the bulk guy again tomorrow? If that's the case, 1 week after the crime scene that you and I did a post game following last Tuesday?
No, I'm fine with that. That's the role right now for him. And he may be in a situation where he's got to wear it if it goes similarly. Hopefully it doesn't. But yeah, and shame on you for bringing up the Bobby Miller name.
Hey, I'm just saying, when Alex Friedman told me they scratched it, I was like, excuse me, did I misunderstand one of the names? But you kind of do the math, and that I texted and I was like, look, I think a lot of things have to go sideways for this to be the case, but you do the math. Robleski probably not available for tomorrow's game. Landon Knack can't be called up in case except an injury. And so Bobby Miller's kind of the last guy standing. Like it's good luck naming another pitcher down in Oklahoma City who's a starter. They had Jack Little, who's a relief pitcher who's not even on the 40-man roster. He was on the taxi squad for the last couple of days, simply in case of emergency. I mean, that just goes to show you how shallow the well is at this point. So I'm with both of you. I don't think we see Bobby Miller fresh off of 10 earned runs last time we saw him pitch in Oklahoma City. So I think it's a safe bet, Anthony, that Bobby Miller is not the guy tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely not. And it's not just it's just not how shallow the well is in Oklahoma City. It's how much they do not want to call on Bobby Miller also.
Yeah. Yeah. And shout out to Oklahoma City, by the way. Despite what the Dodgers have done to their pitching staff, first place in the division down in Oklahoma City. So kudos to them. Let's put a bow on this one, Anthony, before we get to some other updates on Roki Sasaki and others. We may have a special guest hopping in with us shortly as well. But Anthony, give me your final thoughts on Shohei Ohtani and kind of what we saw tonight and what maybe you expect from him going forward.
Yeah, look, I thought that, like I said, I thought this was an A+ kind of night for him. We saw what the stuff can be. It's electric. He said post-game that he was a little amped up and probably added a tick or two to the fastball. He said he was planning on sitting, 97, 98, something like that. So, he was feeling pretty good out there. For me, I will pose this question to both of you. So we saw what that first inning looked like, and then he walks off the mound and they bring his stuff out to him. He doesn't have to go to the dugout. And he comes up and he hits leadoff for the Dodgers. So across 21 and 23 for him, it's a small sample size, 45 plate appearances, but he slashed 179, 289, 385 as a leadoff hitter on days that he pitched. The numbers when he pitched from the 2 and 3 holes were much better. So I ask you this, probably especially at home, I think it matters a little more. Do you guys have an issue with him hitting leadoff on the days that he pitches? And Dave has said that he asked Ohtani about this, and Ohtani said he wanted to stay in the leadoff spot. So
I'll say two things. One is you just said the most important thing at the end.
Yeah.
Mr. Ohtani, what would you like to do today? Yes, you would like to hit first. Absolutely. The world is your oyster, Mr. Ohtani. Do whatever the hell you want to do. That's the first thing. Second, I think you make a great point about the difference between home and road, because the thing we have to remind ourselves, there's only one at bat that you get to control when it is. And so just because you lead off in the first inning doesn't mean you're ever going to lead off any other inning for the rest of the game necessarily. And if it's a road game, then you're talking about a situation where you're by the time you finish pitching, you're not leading off anymore. So that situation may never arise. So all of those factors tell me that even if the stat line that you just produced, obviously it's real, it's true. We're talking about like the number of those at bats that were actually impacted by where they chose to hit him in the order leads me to believe that it's sort of a nothing for me. Just because I'm like, we're talking about probably 5 or 6 times in that entire stretch that it was a home game and he was leading off, and that's out of 45 at bats, that kind of thing. So Daniel, for me, nothing. I don't know if you disagree.
I mean, yeah, what Shohei says goes. Like if he's fine with batting leadoff, it's fine. If he was open to it, I would be totally fine with moving him down to second or third, just because, like, let's say there's a ground ball to the first baseman to end the inning, and Shohei's got to go cover the bag, and now he's got to run all the way to the third base dugout, put on his hitting gear, and then go up to bat. Like, there are some situations where it's like, all right, it would be nice if he had a batter or two to take a deep breath and relax for a second. But I do think, I don't think it changes all that much. Like you said, like it might affect 5 or 6 of his at bats, this season, which it isn't the end of the world. So what Shohei says goes, but I definitely think, Anthony makes a good point that in a perfect world, like he would have a batter or two to kind of relax and catch his breath before he goes up there and faces a starting pitcher who's amped up, ready to go, in the first inning, probably, ready to throw 100 or whatever the case may be. But yeah, it's Shohei, so he knows best.
Yes.
Would you?
Shohei we trust.
Would you? Would you change anything? Like, if you were the Dodgers, would you maybe have a conversation, not to force him to do something he doesn't want to do, but sort of present some alternatives and encourage him to maybe choose differently?
Yeah, I think if he's of the mind that I want to do this, it's fine. I think you let it ride out, but you keep track of it. If it becomes a trend, and the samples are going to be pretty small on this thing, like you mentioned, they already are, even when he was with the Angels. But if it looks like, he's struggling in that spot after pitching, especially at home, then I think you have another conversation with them and you say, look, here's what we're thinking. Here's why we're thinking it. What are your thoughts? I think it's a conversation. I don't think it's a mandate. But yeah, I just think they keep an eye on it and maybe they have a conversation about it. Beyond that, I don't think it's a huge make or break kind of deal, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's get to an injury update here on Roki Sasaki. The Dodgers have been asked about him seemingly every day, and every time Dave Roberts talks, it feels like we get a slightly different view on exactly what is happening.
Asked about it every day.
It's true. Well, Brandon Gomes got asked about it today. He was asked, Roki Sasaki, any update or clarity on if he is shut down from throwing? This is what Gomes said, which I think we would all agree Brandon Gomes probably a more reliable source than Dave Roberts on this type of thing, but maybe that's just me. He says more. He threw threw some plyo balls today, so arm is moving, feeling good coming out of that. So now it's continuing to build the foundation and make sure we get him to a point where he's feeling good throwing and go from there. What that looks like, it's still very early in the process, but felt good coming out of today, which was a positive. So hopefully we'll keep building off of that. Daniel, this is more than we've gotten from Dave Roberts in the last couple of days, throwing plyo balls, feeling good coming out of it. So it's not a whole lot, but I guess, Daniel, it's something.
Yeah, and I think they're going to take their time here. Like, this is a young arm that you want to protect, and obviously it was pretty clear that he wasn't right when he was on the mound. So, like, there's really no sense in rushing him back when you would be rushing him back to get subpar results. So I definitely think, use this time as a full reset here. Tinker with things that you need to tinker with, and obviously make sure you're fully healthy. And if he's back later in the year, awesome. Let's see where we could integrate him. Let's see how he looks. But honestly, if he's not back, it's not the end of the world. Like, we just kind of broke down the pitching situation, and we know they got other guys coming back as well. So they're in a position where they could tell Roki to take his time, and let's make sure you get back to 100%, just because 23 years old or whatever he is, like, you don't want this to be a lingering, worse issue where then he ends up having surgery and now he's missing a year or two. So yeah, definitely, I wouldn't say concerned, but I'm not expecting Roki on the mound anytime soon.
Yeah. Okay. Well, our special guest has arrived straight out of the chat. Our guy, Scott Gearman, is in the house here to join and talk Dodgers with us. Scott, as we said, great to see you. Shohei Ohtani is both a Dodger and a pitcher. Give us your reactions.
I'm with Ant. Like, I cleared the schedule. I told my girlfriend, I said, I'm busy. This was absolutely, just because I told my mom, and I'm sure a lot of people in chat, you guys too, there's some people who completely forgot that he's one of the most elite starting pitchers in the game. Stuff looked filthy, missing glove side a lot. I'm sure you covered it all. I'll just give you my pure fan thing. It was electric. It was kind of like, this guy can do it all. Like, we got one inning, and he looked like he wanted some more. I love that he was he was probably eating himself up about what was going on, but he competed, and just to see that, like, in a Dodgers uniform, go out there, pitch an inning, and then he's leading off the next. That was just to see it. Actually, it's one thing to see it with the Angels. Now it's something to see it with the Dodgers. That's where I'm at. Yeah,
and I'm with you, Scott. And it's like there's even if you think he's good, until you see it with your own eyes in a Dodgers uniform, it's like, oh no, he's that good. He's good, not just a little bit good from Shohei Ohtani. And the point that you make is one that Anthony made a minute ago. Watching a guy go and lead off after throwing 100.2 mile an hour fastball, just crazy. It's crazy town. And again, for him to then have 2 RBIs, more than net positive in the total runs scored category is insane stuff. So amazing from Ohtani. We do have a super chat from JY. Thank you for providing the most accurate updates on Roki. Robert seemed a bit out of sync with Glasnow before, and now with Roki's health status. Unfortunately, it's just part of the deal. And again, we've talked about it on this show multiple times. is that Dave intentionally misleading people? I would suggest he is not. Is he maybe doing the best job of collecting all of the information and filtering those words out in a way that perfectly sums up what he was just told? Probably not as well. So it's probably somewhere in between. There's also a lot of moving pieces. Dave Roberts has said he wants to connect with all 26 guys every single day he's at the ballpark at least once. And so to do that and then to keep track of the 6 or 7 guys that you've got rehabbing, throwing bullpens, live batting practice, whatever it might be, I think there's a lot of moving pieces. So I'm not taking Dave all the way off the hook, but it is worth pointing out that, he's got a lot of moving pieces to navigate there. So we appreciate the super chat. One last topic I wanted to hit here. We've got to talk about All-Star voting as well. We got the first update from this of late. And I would say, Daniel, good news for the Dodgers on this one. Shohei Ohtani, Will Smith, Freddie Freeman, and Teoscar Hernandez all leading their positions. So you got 10 position player spots. 4 of the 10 are Dodgers. Of course, Mookie Betts, not one of the names included among guys leading their position. Francisco Lindor is leading the shortstops voting. Daniel, I'll come to you first. Your immediate reaction to Ohtani, Smith, Freeman, and Hernandez leading their positions.
Yeah, I was really impressed with Dodger fans, showing up, because I feel like in past years this hasn't always been the case. Like a lot of the times they have guys that are deserving that, don't get the votes to make it. So this year's, different. I feel like at every position, the Dodgers at least have a guy in the mix. Like even Michael Conforto had like 180,000 votes or something like that, which I don't know who's filling in that vote, but credit to them. But yeah, I mean, you just
Jeff.
Yeah, there you go. Jeff's been voting, but using all his email addresses.
All my kids have MLB.com accounts, and we're just firing off Conforto ballots.
But yeah, I mean, what is it, like top 2 at each position, like advance to the next round, and I think the Dodgers pretty much have someone at every position. So, hopefully, everyone keeps it up, and obviously, we know Shohei's gonna make it. We know Freddie's probably gonna make it. Will Smith is gonna make it. Teo is in the lead, which was great to see, even though he hasn't, he's heated up lately, but he had that, extended cold stretch. So it's good to see him still in the mix. And then the one that I think we all need to, make a concerted effort to get out there and vote for is Andy Pages. Like he's in the mix there, kind of a little lower. I think he's 7th among outfielders, and he's definitely having an all-star worthy season. So get out there and vote for him.
Yeah, you mentioned the totals. I mean, Will Smith, just to give you context, has 1.1 million votes. The second place catcher is 400,000 votes there. So a comfortable lead for Will Smith. And Daniel makes another great point, which is Tommy Edman is in second at second base. Mookie Betts is in second at shortstop, and Max Muncy is in second at third base. So as you go into a final round, I mean, there's a world where you get the whole Dodger team basically voted into this thing.
Yeah. Hey, look, I think that all of those guys in second are also deserving too. I think Teo is the one guy where I was a little surprised that he was in first, but I mean, considering what the overall vote looks like from Dodger fans, I guess it's not that surprising. The one thing that I'm with Daniel, I want to see some more love for Pages, I think nationally, not just with the Dodger fan base, because he's behind a guy like Ronald Acuna, who Ronald Acuna is an all-star caliber player, but he got back like 10 minutes ago. And he's in there. And I understand like he's got the star power, but that's got to get fixed.
Yeah, Scott, for you, I mean, we're a Dodgers show, so we're not pretending most of the time to be totally unbiased and rational in this. And yet, I think there's a really compelling, unbiased case to make for Andy Pages based on the season that he's been having.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Earlier today, I was looking up, I forgot who I was having a conversation with about Andy Pages with someone, probably one of my boys' chats. They were trolling Andy Pages, but he is within the top 20 in the National League in F-WAR. I think he was 6th among all NL outfielders. Like he is on a tear, doing absolutely everything. There is no reason that he should be kept out of the All-Star game except just favoritism. And that's what this game comes down to. But he's done everything on field to deserve a nod. Let's get him there. But he's absolutely done everything. He's evolving. Like you look at his at-bats here. He looks like he's got a firm grasp of the game. So I've just been hyper impressed with him. And he's someone that Dodger fans make it happen. Make it happen.
He's 13th in the National League in wins above replacement on Fangraphs right now. And to your point, I mean, you look at Pete Crow Armstrong, Corbin Carroll, Kyle Tucker, James Wood, I believe are the only guys ahead of him in the outfield category. So as some people have pointed out, I think it's top 6. He needs to get in there. He's 7th going into this. And so, and this guys is not even including pitchers, right? Because Yoshinobu Yamamoto feels like he's a lock to be in that mix. And, you know, who knows on the reliever side, I imagine the Dodgers are going to have so many offensive players. They're not going to be desperate to go find a reliever, but I mean, if Tanner Scott pitches the way he's been pitching for the next couple of weeks, who knows by the time they make some selections where he fits. Dodgers fans, keep going out there, keep voting. Andy Pages needs to be at top of the ballot. If Michael Conforto slips in a few votes here and there, you know, nobody's going to, well, a lot of people will probably complain. But
surprised he even made it onto the ballot, if we're being honest.
Yeah, you know, hey, it's negative war, okay, but positive in our hearts.
Talk the world, Jeff.
All-Star votes for Conforto. That might be the one category he's outperforming expectations is All-Star voting.
By a lot.
By a lot. I mean, his mom doesn't think it's by a lot, so go easy on him, okay, Anthony? But yeah, you can go vote everywhere.
You don't need to call yourself Michael Conforto's mom. We know.
No, I'm not. There's maybe 2 of us that are still holding out stock. So, all right, let's get to some questions. We do have time for some questions. We've got Scott in here. Scott, I'll just start with you. Any other Dodgers takes you want to fire off? You haven't been on the show in a little while. Any other opinions you've got? Kershaw is back throwing like an ace.
Man.
Emmet Sheehan due back this week. Your guy Benny Caps getting stretched out to be a starter. Take this wherever you want while we load some questions in the chamber.
Oh man, get those tuned up. So chime in, Ant, Jeff, D Stark, however you want here. Kershaw, I heard the thing about Kershaw in a playoff rotation. Let's see how he can continue to find those outs. I'm not too concerned with the strikeout numbers. If he can get outs, I'll happily sit here and say, look, if he's figuring it out and he continues to be healthy, looks healthy, the arm action looks good, doesn't look like he's, you know, struggling to find, you know, the plate, which is great. I'm not yet locking him into a playoff rotation, but if he needs to make a start and he continues the role, I'm okay with it. Kasperius, I think because I'm just so used to him as a reliever and the stuff always looks phenomenal. I mentioned it in chat earlier that him working through multiple times through the order is going to be something that just comes with sequencing and figuring out how to navigate that first time, second time. I don't know if they'll allow him a third time. Like, I don't know if that'll be a thing. It might be just like you said, opener situation, or they just go 2 times and they figure it out. They kind of, maybe they go batter to batter, see how it goes. Don't have a set plan. I've got to hush up on Tommy Edman for now until he gets cooking again.
Homered yesterday, baby.
Yeah, he's been coming back. He's been coming back. I know he was kind of ailing a little bit here.
He's made some plays lately.
He's looked good at second base.
Yeah, man, looking phenomenal there. So other than that, it's been great to see Will Smith continue. Like, he's doing this early season stuff where we know exactly who he is. I want to see this continue on. Yeah, man, I've just been really impressed. It's the offense that we all kind of expected, minus Conforto. Oh, we thought, Jeff. We thought.
Yeah. Hey, the on-base percentage still starts with the 3, baby. We're holding out hope. Exit velocity on base percentage. That's the recipe to the Michael Conforto fan club, okay? So we'll just go easy on him there.
I know.
Okay, let's get to some questions. Dodgers Hub wants to know, Anthony, I'll come to you first. Has it gotten to a point where we can call Andy Pages a complete player? This isn't a 1-month hot streak anymore.
Yeah, we talked about this. I think it was yesterday, Jeff, where he's well beyond now the sort of, oh yeah, he's on a nice run right now. You know, this is more like he's sort of shifted that corner and he's gone from really bad to really good. And I don't think his median point is not in the middle of that. It's north of that. Right. And he's a better player than just sort of meet me in the middle from when you were really bad to when you were really hot. I think he's closer to the hot guy. And so considering what he brings defensively, when he's mostly not playing center field, I think you're starting to see a complete player. You know what has been really noticeable too, and that we have not talked about? We haven't talked about it because it hasn't happened lately, but he stopped making the bonehead base running plays.
Well, if you hit the ball over the fence, Anthony, you don't have to run a whole lot between second and third and make legitimate, like, logical decisions, you know?
Yeah, no, but he's been really impressive, I think, in his sort of getting back to where we saw those flashes of brilliance before. He did not let that pretty horrid early season start kind of get to him. It didn't leak over, and he's sort of righted himself there. And he's in the All-Star conversation. And if the All-Star game was this weekend, he's deserving of a spot, right? And so, I think it is definitely time to start calling him, maybe not like a fully complete player, because I think there are still things that we want to see from him, and still things where he can improve. But he is the caliber of player now where I think you're having this all-star kind of conversation probably annually now.
Yeah. Ederico wants to know, how many Dodgers do you think realistically make it among hitters? Freeman, Ohtani, Smith, and Pages for me. Again, keep in mind that this is going to be voted on. And so Teoscar currently is in the running as well. So Freeman, Ohtani, Smith, and Teoscar feel pretty certain, I would say. Anything could change with this voting, but if Dodgers fans get outvoted by hundreds of thousands from here on out, I would be surprised. Scott, I'll come to you. Like, do you think Pages ends up making it? Or do you think maybe he ends up the odd man out because they don't want to put 7 Dodger offensive players on this team? Because Muncy and Betts could very well make this team as well.
Yeah. I think he may very well end up being the odd man out. Barring any injury subs there, Fernando Tatis is right behind Andy Pages. I know from the update earlier today, that's when stuff happens. James Wood, phenomenal player for the Nationals. If you don't know about him, Dodgers fans, you're in here, take a look at James Wood. So there's a lot of talent. I don't know if Major League Baseball would be forcing Dodgers off that roster, but I think I just think a lot of fans love Fernando Tatis. I think that's someone who might kind of push right in front of him there. I do think Andy Pages gets left off, unfortunately, but he deserves it. He deserves it flat out. He's playing his way on there. No popularity contest. He's just doing the thing.
Yeah. And keep in mind, Dave Roberts is managing the National League team. So when it comes down to some of those decisions, you might get a friendly call there. We'll see. Let's see some other questions here. Pinsanity, Daniel, will come to you. Do you see the Dodgers going after Cease in the offseason? He has the profile they like. Are you a Dylan Cease guy, Daniel?
He does have the profile they like that, really quality stuff. Command isn't always there, like, the Blake Snell type, etc. But I don't think they're going to be in the market for a big money pitcher, considering the contracts they've handed out the last few years. And I do think, Cease is, we'll see how his season ends up, but I think he's going to get a pretty big contract. Like, the free agent class isn't that deep. So there, and everyone needs pitching. So there's going to be someone out there willing to give him a big deal. So I think the Dodgers will kick the tires as they always do, but I would expect him to get, big money elsewhere.
Well, and they're going to be spending time working on the 3-year extension for Clayton Kershaw. So once, whether or not they've got time to do Cease's deal at the same remains to be seen. Let's go around the horn on this one. Scott, I'll start with you. Bigger need at the trade deadline for the Dodgers: starter or right-handed reliever, or I'll say corner outfielder. Starter, right-handed reliever, or corner outfielder? What's the biggest need for the Dodgers at the deadline, Scott?
It's a good question. There, you GI. It's good to see you, man. If you add corner outfielder in there, I'll say corner outfielder. I think they
keep in mind, if you go corner outfielder, then Hessun Kim might not have a spot to play.
Oh man. Can I ask this real fast? Is there a scenario where any of you see the Dodgers giving up on Michael Conforto?
Yeah, I was going to jump in here.
Because he's going to figure it out.
Just 1 second. I need you. You have 1 second. You gotta. Yeah,
we know what your answer is, Jeff.
I know. Well, Anthony and I joked about this the other day. I held on to stock for Gavin Lux. Do you know what date Gavin Lux turned it around last year, Scott?
Oh man, go ahead.
July 10th. July 10th was the turnaround, baby. We got weeks. That's like a whole nother month of Conforto. He's got plenty of time.
So I think
they have the corner outfield spot. The solution is in-house. It's just a matter of when they sort of pull the string on the platform that Michael Conforto is standing on, and he falls through it. Because once that happens, move Pages and Teoscar are in the corners. You can play Edman and/or Kim in center and second. Beautiful. And there you go.
Yep. Yeah, the answers are always there. Like, we know rushing's not going to get the time there. I would love corner outfielder, but right-handed reliever. I'm with you guys. If you're staying away from starter, the market is very, very thin there. I don't think it's the year for that. I don't think they have to do it. They've got guys come on the mend here. I think reliever time, they've got a lot of arms. It's an older bullpen group. We don't know what we're going to get out of Blake Trinan here. It's beautiful to see Tanner Scott turn stuff around. When I tune into the chat sometimes and I see Scott's success, I'm like, yes, Scots are always on top. Here we go. So, yeah, I'm saying reliever, right-handed reliever. We need it.
Daniel, outfielder, starter, reliever.
I guess I would say if I had to pick one, reliever, I guess. But honestly, I don't think the Dodgers have any big needs that they have to go out and be super aggressive and overpay for. I definitely think they'll look, to make moves to upgrade the roster, but I don't think they're as desperate as they have been in past years. You guys just broke down the lineup. Yeah, maybe you could use a bench bat or something. Let's bring in the modern day David Freese, whoever that is. And, so we have a good pinch hitter in the playoffs. I'm open to that for sure.
That was Chris Taylor.
Oh, I don't know about Chris Taylor. But when you look at the arms they have coming back, I think, we'll see what happens, but I think they are in good shape right now, especially when you see, Clayton Kershaw looks good. Shohei looks good today. Kasperius is getting built up. Sheehan's back. And that's not even to mention Glasnow and Snell, of course, and Roki and Gonsolin. Maybe we'll see him down the line. So I think they're in a good spot. And then when you look at the relievers, obviously Blake Trinan, you hope to get him back at some point. Edgardo Henriquez, I saw one of you guys, I think, Jeff, you were quote tweeting someone about he's looked really good in AAA. He could be in the mix pretty shortly here. We just saw Kopech look good tonight, and he hasn't given up a run yet since, he got back. So I think, on the pitching side, things are starting to come into place. And obviously I say that knowing full well that by the time July 30th rolls around, things could look completely different than they do now. And then obviously, you reassess and see where you're at there. But, there's still plenty of time till the deadline. So, I think right now you're just in kind of wait and see mode, and whatever you need at the deadline, you obviously have the prospects to go out and get whatever you need. So that's always good to know.
Anthony, rapid fire, briefly. Starter, reliever, outfielder.
Yeah, I think if they're a month away from today and they're getting positive news on Snell, Glasnow, Kershaw still producing, Ohtani's up to 5-6 innings by that time, then I think they're going to go and look at the bullpen. They need a right-handed relief pitcher. And I think the reason why they went out and signed Snell in part and went hard after Sasaki, all of this because they did not want to have to overpay for a Sandy Alcantara or a Chris Sale if he's available. They didn't want to have to do that again. And so I think if they feel like they're in a good spot with guys coming back to the rotation, they're going to look at the bullpen help.
Yeah. Well, and keep in mind, Emmet Sheehan and Ben Kasperius and Dustin May could all be right-handed relievers that get moved to the bullpen at some point as well. Justin with the super chat, where does Kyle Tucker sign, and should the Dodgers make him the number one priority this offseason? We just said corner outfield is not exactly a position of strength. So I think everybody here, I'll speak for us, we would all be thrilled if Kyle Tucker was to be a guy that the Dodgers pursued. Knowing the Dodgers, they will pursue him to some degree. Scott, I can't imagine that the Dodgers end up the high bidder on this one, but they'll kick the tires.
I'm just telling you. I said, people in chat, I don't know if you guys remember, I'm telling you, I've got someone that I've been speaking to on some trades, and one of my ears, somebody, one of my voices out there that I know has some juice. They told me that the Dodgers are going to be in the mix, as much in the mix as you want them to be, fans want them to be. That's been something since prior to him being traded from the Astros. So I believe the Dodgers will be right up there, absolutely making a run at Kyle Tucker.
Okay. There you go. Let's see. Sign stealing scandal. It's a fun one. I was at the game tonight. Electricity. What's the most hype regular season stadium atmosphere you can recall? I've said before, for me, this one's easy. I was at the Manny Ramirez bobblehead game when he hit the home run, and I believe Vince Scully said it was the loudest he had ever heard Dodger Stadium and the most violent that it felt like things were shaking. So that jumps to mind first for me. Daniel, do you have a game that pops right to your mind?
I do, and I was pretty young at the time, so I don't remember it fully. But when Steve Finley hit the walk-off grand slam I think it clinched the division, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it did.
I was sitting in right field for that one, and I just remember the whole stadium just going berserk. So that came to mind immediately.
Anthony?
I think I've told this one before, but it was an opening day game, Kershaw versus Lincecum. I want to say maybe 2012. And it was the game that Kershaw hit the home run.
Okay.
I pitched a shutout, hit the home run. And when he hit that home run, because everyone was like, we cannot waste this start. Someone's got to score. And he went and did it himself. It was shaking that day too.
I love it. Scotty?
I was at that game too, Ant. I remember that vividly. I was sitting field level. I was under at the bottom, and I remember watching that ball just soar. And there was like, no way, he did it all himself. Off the top of my head, I don't have one. I just remember how loud people are gonna say this is terrible, but I think it was game 1 against the Nationals 2019. Jock hit the homer off the pole, and I just remember the stadium booming, and then it all went bad.
I love it. Yeah,
I'll say game 163 against the Rockies.
I was there. Yes,
that counts as a regular season game, but Walker Buehler pitched a gem. The stadium was pretty hyped that day too.
Yeah, that's
beautiful.
Amazing. It's amazing. All right, folks, that's gonna do it for us. We'll do one. I mean, Scott, we did Father's Day yesterday, and I know you love when we talk food questions here. I asked Anthony this question: what was on the Father's Day menu for you, my friend?
Oh man, I was.
Actually, I have a food question for Mr. Starkand that Matt Moreno is going to be pissed at me if we don't get off my chest first. So I'm just saying that out loud so I remember. But Scott, Father's Day menu first.
I was out and about, man. We had you guys know I've been coaching the girls softball teams, but I was out and about. I think I had toppers in the afternoon, and that's kind of all I had. I didn't have nobody made me any special thing. I was coaching girls softball on yesterday. It was a beautiful day. Beautiful day. Good day.
Okay. Well, our guy Daniel was in the bougie seats. Second row behind the dugout, first row behind the dugout?
Third row, but who's counting?
Who's counting? Not me. And this guy is at all you can eat buffet situation. And you text us to tell us that you had got a Dodger dog at one point during the game.
Oh, yeah.
So, Matt Moreno needs to hear the story and the explanation here.
Yeah, well, I think you said it pretty well. They have an all-you-could-eat buffet, so I made my way to that multiple times. I had the prime rib, I had the potatoes, I had the corn, I had it all. So it wasn't like I went straight for the Dodger dog, but at the end of that meal, I still had a little room left in the tank, and the Dodger dogs are sitting right there. They don't cost anything, and I haven't had a Dodger dog this season, so I said, yeah, I got a little room for a dog. I'll give this a shot. And I took one bite, and one bite was all I took. I'll put it that way. And I do want to clarify because I texted Matt. The issue that Matt took with me was that Dodger dogs have never been good. And I want to read my text here because I said, just had my first Dodger dog of the season. And how did they somehow manage to make them even worse than before? So I said even worse than before. In no way did I imply that they were good before, but I will say they were at least edible before. But now, to me at least, they're not even edible anymore. So that is unfortunate because obviously back in the day, like Dodger dogs were the best, but they've slowly gone downhill. They've switched companies and whatnot, and now it is unfortunate just because obviously hot dog is a baseball food. Like when you go to the ballpark, you want to enjoy a good dog or two, and that's just hard to do at Dodger Stadium these days.
I mean, it's not fair to the Dodger dog for you to smash prime rib and then eat a Dodger dog right after.
True.
They're banking on you drinking watered down Coors Light and then going three bites deep on the Dodgers dog. That's what they're hoping for. You're eating mashed potatoes and chasing it with the Dodger dog. That thing had no chance to be impressive.
I'll give you that. I'm not gonna no arguments here.
Yeah. So kudos to the Dodger dog people. Just out there. I mean, I guess theoretically grilling, boiling, whatever the hell they're doing to those things to crank them out. And shout out to the people paying $18 or whatever they charge you for a Dodger dog. nowadays. Folks, that's going to do it for us. That is Daniel, that is Anthony, and that is special guest Scott Gearman hopping back in with us. We appreciate everybody hopping in. Almost 3,000 people in here. Thank you for Shohei Ohtani's return to the mound and for the first time as the Los Angeles Dodgers. And hey, what do you know? The Dodgers win. They've now won 3 out of 4 against the Padres so far. They got 3 more games in this series, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Stay tuned right here. Dodger Blue 1958 on the YouTube channel. We'll have all the post-game coverage and content you'll need. Go ahead, check out DodgerBlue.com for the latest as well. Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone. As always, go Dodgers. And yes, still champs.